My entire life, I felt my boat was afloat. Growing up, there were 3 children in my house. I was always surrounded by people. I thrived on it. A full house was all I knew. Wherever I went, I wanted people nearby. I always avoided being alone. When I was younger, my parents would put my siblings and me in timeout when we caused trouble. When I was in timeout alone, I would cry until it was over. When I was in timeout with my brothers, no tears were shed. Human interactions brought me joy. Being alone, on the other hand, drained me. I'm an extrovert. Would you call yourself an extrovert or an introvert? Which describes you? I labeled myself an extrovert for as long as I can remember. I felt I was born to be one. Last year, I was put to the test. My mother, father, and I moved across the country. My youngest brother left for college, just like my oldest brother had, and I was an only child for the first time. This consumed me. I was lost. I moved to a town with no familiar faces. My boat had hit the rough seas. My home was in New York, and so was my heart. In New York, I had continual happiness through my friendships. When I moved to Florida, no longer was my best friend across the hall. No longer were my friends down the street. Not only did I move to a new state, I was forced into a new state of mind. Moving out of one's comfort zone poses a challenge. What are extroverts supposed to do when their lives suddenly change and they are alone? I learned to keep myself distracted with school, errands, working out, but I was masking my deepest fear, being alone. I was empty, but at least during the day, I had human interactions that kept me going. In March 2020, the coronavirus hit. Everything closed, everyone wore masks, and mine not only covered my mouth and nose, it concealed how I was really feeling. COVID placed a test on everyone, not just swabs up our noses, but also tested our mental health. All of our lives were affected in some way. How did you react to the pandemic? I was no longer able to distract myself with everyday needs and maintain my extrovert cravings. I was forced to be alone all day, every day. There was no leaving the house, no seeing my friends, and not even waving to strangers passing by my house. Yet, this wasn't just the case for me. All of us extroverts were in the same boat, and I could not find my life jacket. I felt the waves crashing against my already fragile boat. 2 months went by without a smile on my face. Have you ever seen the movie Groundhog's Day? Bill Murray lives in a time loop, reliving each day over and over again. This is what my days felt like. I decided to see if happiness could be found outside of my comfort zone. I just had to push myself to find it. I then realized no one has to remain an extrovert or an introvert for that matter for the rest of their lives. The navigation route is actually simple. Embrace new situations. Carl Jung, the psychoanalyst who coined the terms introvert and extrovert in 1920, claimed that extroverts, like me, gain energy from other people, the external environment, and usually to prefer to be with others. On the other hand, an introvert finds joy in their own company, enjoys doing activities by themselves, and derives their energy and motivation from within. An article in Psychology Today states that extroverts tend to gain energy from reflection and lose energy in social gatherings. Though identifying as an extrovert or an introvert may be what everyone does, what if we forgot about those labels in order to find happiness in every situation? I suggest no longer using labels. These classifications mean we could only be happy under certain circumstances. Consider the spectrum of introvert to extrovert as a sliding scale, from 0 to 10, with 0 being an introvert and 10 being an extrovert. I was a 10, but what if I could slide down to a 5 in order to find more happiness? What if, as an introvert, you could slide up to a 5 instead and leave your comfort zone? What if we could alter our mindset by eliminating these terms to find happiness in every situation? Why only be happy sometimes? No one has to be just an extrovert or just an introvert. You can be both in different situations. The first step is opening your mind. 2 months into the coronavirus, I had a choice to make. Either continue to be uncomfortable with being alone or change my attitude. I took option 2. It started with the list. I made a list of things that make me happy. When I looked back on it, I realized that the ideas on my list all involved other people. But being near other people was dangerous to my health. I crossed everything out. This was the exact moment in which I dropped the word extrovert. I revisited my list. I chose one thing and tried it alone. Do you have one thing you love to do with other people that you can no longer do? See a movie, grab dinner with friends? Well, for me, it was practicing yoga. I regularly visited yoga studios, but never practiced alone because I enjoyed being in a group and having an instructor to guide me. This was the one thing from my list that I chose to do alone and keep my boat from tossing and turning and throwing me out of the water. I decided to go in my backyard with my mat and computer and take an online class. I could not let my boat sink. At first, it felt uncomfortable because it was a new experience. I couldn't connect through yoga like I had in the past. Yet, I did not give up. I practiced about 10 times before it brought me pleasure. Over time, I began to enjoy my practice in a way I never had before. I connected deeper with each move. Each move kept my boat afloat. It did take time, though, to open up my mind to find new joy. But I did not stop until this discomfort faded. On the sliding scale of personality traits, I hit a 5. My scale was at balance. My boat was at balance. Yoga opened my eyes to balance. No screams nor cries, just silence. As time went on, silence became beautiful instead of awkward. However, yoga alone did not solve all my problems, nor was it the answer to my problems. The answer was the open mindset I allowed myself to engage in. We can all seek new opportunities if we allow ourselves to. Prior to COVID, I never attempted to practice yoga alone because of the label I held over my head. I simply had to open up my mind and slide down the scale in order to find joy and balance. Though I'm an extrovert who discovered the benefits of becoming an introvert, I believe the recipe of sliding along the introvert-extrovert spectrum can work the other way as well. Introverts can gain positive energy from external sources if they accept the challenge. I would urge you to start the same way. Create a list. What makes you happy? Choose one thing on your list and try and invite a friend. Enjoy taking walks? Ask your neighbor to join. Some of you may have related to my story or had the exact opposite story. Every human is unique. Every boat is different, yet all boats have the same goal: stay afloat. All humans have the same goal. We want to find beauty and joy in our lives. Though at first, this process may feel uncomfortable. Do not give up. Allow yourself permission to live as both an extrovert and an introvert. We have all been on our own rocky, turbulent boat that may feel ready to capsize. But It doesn't have to. Push yourself to explore the sliding scale of personality types. We have the potential to find joy in as many situations as possible. Though we have embedded these labels in our head that we are programmed to do things one way. Instead, we must challenge ourselves by engaging in uncomfortable situations and finding your claim. Don't sell your boat when it's not working. Repair it. Test your comfort zone and allow yourself to experience happiness that otherwise may have not been revealed. Try removing these labels from your everyday life. No one has to keep their label forever. Enjoy your boat ride to nirvana. You are ready to set sail. Thank you.